A very warm welcome from my side. And to be honest, I see you all a little bit in the food coma. So everything ate good, drink good, but let's be honest, I think you're not completely awake, isn't it? Yeah. Perfect. So fortunately, Patrick isn't here, so we can do what we want. Nobody's controlling us. But let's start into my topic. Who of you is familiar with native advertising? Hands up. Okay. And from those who are familiar with native advertising, who burned a lot of money on native ads? Okay. A few people burned money on native ads. I try today to give you a few information how you skyrocket native advertising without burning money. And I think most of you are very familiar with Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Instagram ads. Who of you, hands up, who of you run now, today, some parts of PPC ads? Hands up. Who have now PPC ads online? Okay? A small part. So for those who are active media buying PPC ads, I think the next few minutes will be super interesting for you. Before we start, why native advertising might be relevant for you. So we've already heard a lot of changes today from iOS 14, etc., and more information. So yeah, the business is changing, is still changing, and for you as a media buyer, you have to find new solutions. You have to find new solutions and alternatives for the classic Facebook and Instagram channels. And of course, sometimes you have a very, very good ad. A very good campaign, but you're not able to scale it. You're not able to scale it anymore on Facebook or Instagram. So I'm not talking about 2, 3, 5K per day. So I'm talking from 60, 70, 80K per day for a campaign, which is currently in Austria or Germany, extremely difficult on just one channel. So, and that's the part where native advertising come into the game. And of course, you don't reach everyone on Facebook or Instagram. Some people just are not familiar with those platforms. Some people are just avoiding Meta as a company. And that's why native advertising might be interesting for you. My name is Marcel. I'm the founder of Purple Black. We are a native advertising agency based in Austria. I have over 10 years experience in media buying. And in the last 18 months, we spent over 10 million euro in native advertising only, so Taboola and Outbrain. You see here, the most of our business is, the most of our campaigns are in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and UK, and a few parts are in the States and a little bit in Asia, Southeast Asia. In the next few minutes, we'll take a look what's native advertising, for whom native advertising is and for whom not, and which massive scaling opportunities you have with native advertising. So yeah, let's directly jump in. What's native advertising? So not everyone is familiar with native advertising, and that's because it's native. So of course, the trick is not to be offensive as a PPC ad. And that's what native advertising is. So for example, here is a regular news page. And if you scroll down on a news page, you see something like more from that page, more from that site, etc. And this is the part where native advertising is. And yes, sometimes they're looking a little bit scammy, like you see here. So it's organically implemented on news pages. So it's extremely trustworthy, and it's not interruptive. Why it's not interruptive? If you have an YouTube ad, for example, an ad before the video starts, which you can skip after 5 seconds, nobody wants to see this ad. Come on, nobody really wants to see this ad. It's very interruptive, and the big advantage of native advertising is it's non-interruptive. So the user sees here a lot of opportunities, and he or she decides by itself, where do I click? It's completely up on you, and that's the big advantage. So that's one of the big things on native advertising. It's not interrupted. And important is to know you have no targeting. So it's not like Facebook or Google or something like that, where you can choose, okay, I make this targeting, this targeting, this targeting. No. You mostly just can say which country, which device, etc. But you're not able to target anything. That's the big thing. And you need a broad product approach. So, for example, it's not possible to go in a super small niche. Native advertising makes sense if you have a broad product approach. If you have something which is, for many of us here in this room, highly interested. That's the big point where native advertising wins every time. But how a typical native funnel looks like, you see it here on the screen. We have three parts. The first part, of course, it's the ad itself, which looks approximately like this. The second part is a landing page, and the third part is the offer page. Let me describe, first of all, the landing page. So you see this shady landing page here on the middle of the screen. And it's looked like an advertorial, because you have to know, most people are clicking on a news page to read more. And we use this, of course. So we write advertorials. We write a lot of advertorials. In the last 12 months, we write over 1,200 advertorials. And that's the big part where it decides how successful or unsuccessful the campaign will be. Because in the advertorial, you give the people all information they need to decide, I need this product or I don't need this product. And if they need this product, they can click and come apart to this offer page where, of course, they can buy something in e-com or generate as a lead. So native ads, as you see already, is highly interested for e-com and lead gen. So it works on both sides. But how do you reach now the right people? It's super important. It's super important to. I see you're in the audience now, so you're sleeping or you're super interested? I think you're sleeping, to be honest. Who of you, after this information, who of you thinks native advertising is something for his brands? Hands up. Okay, some people here. Some broad product parts. Who have their hand up now? Why do you think native advertising is something for you? Manel.
Because our target, like for example, with the two brands that I showed, it's fashion and cosmetics, so pretty much, and it's like a big range of offers, different products inside those, so it's pretty much every single woman on earth is a target market. So
something like that is a wonderful product fit because it's a very broad audience. But how do you reach now the right people? So Manel already told us that he wants to target women. And you have to address the pain points and get the attraction. You see it here. You can address the pain points like all women between 20 and 35 click here or love this product or love those trousers or something like that. So you have to address, for example, the audience or the pain points. All dog lovers or all dog owners with, I don't know, with a dog with a broken leg, here it is. And important is, because it's native, you don't use stock images or something like that. So most people are just using stock images or something from Facebook and are wondering, hey, why isn't it working? And the biggest issue, or the biggest pain in the ass on native, to be honest, is that if you make it wrong, you lose a lot of money fast. Really, it's really burning money fast. And that's the biggest part you have to avoid at the end of the day. But what if the user clicks now on the ad? So normally you see here, this is a typical landing page from us. It's decided between the ad and the offer page, and you have to give here the informations. Because you have no targeting, this is more or less the targeting. This is more or less the information you give to the persons, because we reach out for a completely cold audience. We have no targeting, we have no information about those peoples. So the only chance you have is to qualify them through an advertorial or through a landing page which look like that. It's the one and only option, possibility you have here. And we make it, as mentioned before, in the last 12 months, We created over 1,200 landing pages like this for our clients. We test different angles, different approaches, long landing pages, small landing pages, etc. Just to test where we get the best results at the end of the day. And landing pages or advertorials, however you mentioned it, are a big, big part of how successful is your campaign or how unsuccessful is your campaign. Important is you have to track everything. And how you track everything? With a tracker like volume. For example, we are using volume. It's a tracker where you can make all things which you do here on native. Important is if you're going to test out native advertising, you have to use a tracker for multiple reasons, but you have to do it. Just trust me here in this case. But if you're going to, some people are interested to create some native ads. But how you do it? You're back on home on Monday, are completely motivated. What's the next steps you do to create landing pages or something like that? And first of all, you need, of course, a good headline, a good subheadline. And as I already mentioned, you need to test different approaches. Different approaches like, you see it here, product or presentation in editorial style, which looks like an editorial. You can take pinpoints, an interview, or something like that. So you have to test really, really completely different things to test the approach in this audience with this product. If we start with a campaign, we start with a lot of advertorials, but we don't know which advertorial will work at the end of the day. Yes, we have the experience, but we don't know which advertorial will work. So we have to test it. We have to test it, and we know from 10 advertorials, 8 will suck and 2 will work. But which 2, we don't know. And because there's no targeting, it's important to use the intention from the person. So we use FOMO, like just two left on stock or something like that, that the people are buying something in e-commerce or that the people are going to use or to generate a lead. But how do you find now the right fit between the ad and the landing pages? And here is multivariate split testing. At the end of the day, it's very simple. It's a very simple concept. As I mentioned before, you have to test everything, especially on native. But how you test everything? With those multivariate split testing. So for example, if you start an ad on Taboola, we're going to test 3 headlines with 3 images. At the end of the day, that's 9 ads, just for one campaign. That's 9 ads, and for that 9 ads, we have 3 to 5 landing pages or advertorials as we see before. And for those 3 to 5 landing pages, we furthermore have 2 or 3 offer pages. And all variants we test against each other. So that's the big thing which you have to do if you go native. So the most people think, hey, I have a good winning campaign on Facebook. I just duplicate it on native and copy it for native, but it will not work. I can promise you, it will not work because native is a completely another channel than Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. And as I mentioned before, how we do that? We do it with volume. It's super simple to use volume, to get familiar with it, and yeah, to see or to start this multivariate split testing at the end of the day. Some people mentioned before they will start with native ads. Hands up again. Who was it? Who will start with native ads? After this presentation, nobody? Okay. So make it sense for you. Make this structure sense for you.
Yes, of course.
What's the biggest thing, or where do you think you have the biggest problems to set it up? Which part do you think is you have to put the most attention or the most focus?
I would say on the landing page.
On the landing page, absolutely. So exactly, you have to put the focus on the landing page because, to be honest, it's relatively simple to create the ads. You have 3 headlines, 3 images, 9 ads, but due to no targeting, you have to put the focus on the landing pages. You have to target these people there. The landing page is the decision point, if they're buying the product or if they're not buying it. So it's the super important part. And for example, in our team, we just have people who write the text, who write the copies for those landing pages every day. So they're super familiar with writing content, writing text, writing copy just for landing pages. It's a full-time job in our agency. Let's jump forward to the offer page. Important is that you just sell one thing at the offer page. No options, no green shirt, white shirt, trousers, or something like that, just one product. If you're in lead gen, no big opportunities, just always one product or one service. And maybe you already have a professional or a good funnel which is working on YouTube, which is working on Facebook or something like that. But it will not work on native, because native is completely different. You have to create different funnels just for native, because the normal funnel of you, even though it's already successful, will not work on native. And that's super important to understand, because just the offer page is successful on any other traffic source. It will not work on native. Sometimes clients are coming to us and say, hey, I already have that offer page. Why should I do a new one? We have tested. So to be honest, if you want to start with native advertising, you have created a funnel new. Also, if you already run ads on Facebook or something like that. So you have to create a funnel new and optimize it for native advertising. But now we know the main structure from native ads, with the ad, the landing page, and the offer page. And now every one of you knows what native ads is. And some of you are asking now, you are that guy for that scammy ads. Everyone thinks that now, but no one will tell it me now. And yes, mostly native advertising is sometimes clickbait, but not always. But why is native advertising clickbait? We have mostly two funnels. We have a broad funnel and a specific funnel. In a broad funnel, you have low CPCs, low CTR, low CVRs. So that's the shitty part. That's the part, that's the scammy part. Hey, this and this star lose 15 kilos with this method and something like that. So that's the shitty part. That's sometimes also arbitrage and yeah, something like that. But of course, it's also possible to go on a specific funnel, which is here on the right-hand side, with higher CPCs, high CTR, and high CVR. And here I have a sample for you. Broad funnel is, for example, people in Germany save more than 100,000 euro with this insurance. So because people in Germany are Germans, okay, and everyone needs insurance, and everyone wants to save a lot of money, especially in insurance. And yeah, if they can 100,000 euro, it's highly interesting for a lot of people who live in Germany. But the specific funnel is good news for dog owners this is a placeholder for your city. If your dog is between 1 and 5 years old, So this is a very specific funnel, because you know targeting. You have to target people in your headline, in your product, in your image, in your headline, in your ad at the end of the day. And that's the part where you do it. Here you have a specific approach or a broad approach to target people at the end of the day. But now we talk a lot of what is native advertising, etc. Some people already put up the hands, yeah, it's something for me. And some people say, no, it's nothing for me. But how you can decide if native advertising is something for you, for your brand, for your clients? And it's relatively simple. If you have a broad approach, if you have a good product fit for a lot of people here in this room, or in this country, or whenever you're going to, then native advertising is a very good product fit for you. If you have a very specific audience, for example, where you need double flex targeting on Facebook or something like that, native advertising isn't a good fit for you. So you have to go broad, you have to have a broad funnel, then native advertising is perfectly for you. If you have a very specific product or a very specific B2B coaching product in a separate niche, no. Native advertising is definitely the wrong thing for you. But if you have a broad product approach, native advertising can be extremely successful for you. And that's the part where we talk about scaling. Because on native is more basic. So you don't have a bot or something like that, like on Facebook. It's not a black box. It's very, very manual work, so much more work than on Facebook. There's no algorithm or something like that. You have to do much more manual. And that's the worst thing of native advertising. But the good thing is, you have less risk because there are multiple platforms like Taboola, Outbrain, and much more. But you have also a very constant level of your CPCs and something like that. So you don't have ad fatigue in this amount like you're familiar with on Facebook or something like that. And that's the big bang on native advertising. You have constant numbers. As you see here, this is very constant because it's a very tight view. But on the long run, native advertising is super constant. And it's one of the constant PPC traffic sources you will ever see also in scaling. Because it doesn't matter if you spend 5K per day or 50K per day. You don't will see much differences. That's the big advantage of native advertising. If you want to start now, what's good to know? In a nutshell, what is native advertising? You have to have a broad audience. You need multivariate split testing. That's the first two things. Start only with one traffic source. So for example, Taboola or Outbrain, not everything together. And the higher the incentive, the better it will work. For example, if you sell a product which is also available on Amazon, why should someone buy it on you? Buy it on your site? They already have an Amazon account, etc. So you have to give the people an incentive on the ads or the landing page. And this incentive must be high. It can be a sale, it can be a free shipping or something like that, but you must give people an incentive, and the higher the incentive, the better native advertising will work. So yeah, native advertising is good for you if you have lead gen or e-commerce, and if you have a broad product approach. So that's native advertising in a nutshell. And if you say it's the right fit for you, we can discuss later. I'm here for the next 2 days about native advertising. Thank you very much.